Welcome everyone to another episode of the Lead Skill Show. I am your host, Oscar, and as always, I'm glad to have you all here. Today we have a great episode with an amazing guest. So today we have Elizabeth Hale from eeCPA, and I would love to, just have her introduce herself to the audience. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, Elizabeth's got a great entrepreneurial journey story. She is a serial entrepreneur. She helps a lot of other people with their businesses as well. But, I would just like her to introduce herself. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest on my podcast, Elizabeth, and welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Oscar. I appreciate it. My name is Elizabeth Hale. I currently run a CPA firm, so I have a team of 20 here in Scottsdale, Arizona, but I'm originally from Rochester, New York. My entrepreneurial journey started at age 8. I found an ad on the back of a comic book that I could make commission on sales of holiday cards. So I went door to door and sold holiday cards and made extra money. And I developed my repeat customers that would buy from me each year. I owned a pest control company for 10 years while I was going to college. During that time, I started when I was 19 and worked at the office of the pest control company. And then shortly thereafter, when I turned 20, there were 2 partners. They split up. And so I bought into half of that business.
Oh, wow.
And ran that. And we did sales and, office and finance for the business. The pest control itself, I grew it and I sold it by the time I was 30 for $1 million. We started in 1989 and ended in 1999. And then I'm from Rochester, New York. I relocated to Arizona and did not know one soul in Arizona, but I came out here on vacation and I loved it. It was sunny and warm, and I went back. I sold the business in 99 and then moved out here by the end of 99 and worked at some CPA firms here in the greater Phoenix area. And then in 2004, decided to start my own firm. So I started right away. I left my position at another firm on December 31st and started my own firm on January 1st of 2004.
I love that. That's a great a great way of starting the new year. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I had to hustle. So I did have some clients. I didn't have a non-compete. So I did have some clients come over to work with me, but not enough to, build a full book. So I hustled. I probably worked on average throughout the year, 70 hours a week, I learned how to do 60-second commercials for a networking group, and I was on the Arizona Financial Council and just threw myself into it. Had a Yellow Pages ad because that's back when they used to still have Yellow Pages ads.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just kind of took off. That 1 year of, challenging, a lot of networking. I kind of built enough of a base, and then it was just referral after that. So I couldn't wait to hire my first employee. It was taking me longer back then. It wasn't electronic filing all the time. You had to. Yeah. It was taking me longer to do the postage and the envelopes than it was to do the tax return. So I couldn't wait to hire an employee. I got that going. And then I do have 3 young children, or did have 3 young children. My youngest now is just graduated high school. I'm going to be
Congratulations.
In August. But I did have those 3 children during this last 20 years and different ages and stages. But I grew, but not maybe as fast as I might have if I didn't have children, because I still wanted that. I wanted to be a mom too. So, yeah. But probably 16 started to really expand the team more. I had basically had five employees for a long time, and I grew it to 16. I think we had maybe 15 so employees. Well, I grew too fast. So that's when I learned, processes and procedures and quality. And so I ended up pre-COVID, I went back down to 8, about 8 people. And I kind of worked on processes and systems, which I should have been focused on earlier on, but I was always focused on, the next client, the next project, the next thing. But during that period of, the teens of the 2000s, I really learned a lot more. I had started with tax when I opened the firm in 2004, but then I added on bookkeeping because I would recommend bookkeepers, but they didn't work for me. And then the clients would get the books back, and then they had to be redone. And then I couldn't charge the client because I'm the one who referred to the bookkeeper that didn't work out, and they weren't my employees. Yeah. So we quickly added bookkeeping as a service, and then we added payroll. And So then we just started expanding from there and always had consulting as well. So a lot of business consulting, a lot of tax strategy and tax planning, in addition to the tax work. Then we started adding additional services over time. So we've now do cash management, we do retirement plan administration, we do full payroll and HR, accounting, tax. So and a lot of consulting, like we'll do due diligence, mergers and acquisitions. We do not do any kind of financial statement audits. But we represent clients for IRS and city and state government audits. During this time, as we continue to expand, I think my biggest obstacle was I'm a doer. But I also am interested. Like I kind of have that's a shiny nickel over there. Let me take a look at that. So I realized over time, it took a while for it to sink in. Like I was ready to change software, do this, do that. And not all the people on my team were ready to that quickly. So that was one of the obstacles. The other one was I am like super client focused. And I think, and reflecting on myself, I probably should have been more team focused because the team is an extension of me and dealing with the clients. But I was not in the beginning, to be honest. I wish, that's something new that I kind of have determined with my partners now that that's our number one goal for our firm is to become the best CPA firm in the Valley or the greater Phoenix area in the next 10 years and the number one place to work. So
I love that. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
You had mentioned in the beginning about how you, Oscar, were looking at like how some CPA firm owners or CPAs are really killing themselves constantly. So this year was my first year, and it's been 21 years now, but I guess 2004, 21 years, 2025. That I did not do or review one single tax return this tax season.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So I do almost all consulting right now. We have developed a different kind of practice where we actually partner with our clients and we are their finance function for their business. So not only are we paying their bills, invoicing their customers, managing their cash flow, managing their bank accounts, all those types of things. We have fiduciary responsibilities. We're processing payroll, completing HR, taking care of retirement plans, taking care of their accounting and tax and all that traditional services as well. But by this group, and honestly, I realized I was the bottleneck for a lot of my team because I'm so busy and so client focused and trying, to train up young people and work on, manage the firm and oversee that. But also, they're just tax is still a big, we are a tax firm also. But in 2019, I sold off all my individual clients. So we don't work with we only work with the entrepreneurs that own the businesses that we work with. Okay. So we don't have a huge, for 20 of us here, and we did about close to 5 million in top line revenue last year. We only have about 200 base clients. The rest are just clients that have multiple businesses. So we work with family offices. So we don't have high volumes here that we probably do 500 tax returns a year. And along with that, we take care of their accounting, their cash management, and all that kind of thing. So that was a game changer when we started to really partner with our clients and kind of insist that we're going to do the payroll, the accounting, and the tax together. Because then we're not, having to wait. Like we can be on top of strategy and recommendations and consulting because we have real-time data at our fingertips and we control that or, can see all that. It's full transparency to ourselves and to the client. But with that real-time accounting, which is getting easier and easier with AI, we were able to deliver timely advice and not be talking in June today about last year. Now we're talking in June today about today and the next year, the rolling 12 months, the forecast of cash flow. So it's more meaningful to the client who doesn't even remember, just like me, somebody has to nudge me, what did happen last week? Well, that was so last week. They don't want to know what happened in 2024 anymore. We're in 2025 and we're winding up second quarter. We gotta be looking forward and, be giving timely advice.
Wow, that was, thank you for that. That was, I love that introduction. I love the story of the journey and everything you guys are doing. So there's some things that, caught my attention, and I'm gonna try and go from the last one to the first one right now, just because of the last thing you said. So basically you guys right now are acting as a in-house like CFO department for your clients. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that, I think, that's a great strategy. I mean, I don't know if you can talk a little bit more about that, but I'm thinking and I'm assuming, that when you're doing that, you're not only, like you said, having the accounting basically live, right? Like up to date. It's not, 5, 6, 4 months ago or 1 quarter ago. It's, we have the accounting live, but it's also, as you said, partnering, it's also giving you a more eagle eye view of your client's partner's business. Right, you're actually partnering with them, like you said, and it helps you help them even more. Is that correct? Am I on the right track there?
I mean, we've had some huge success stories. So sometimes people get, they take on loans or business loans, and then they're struggling because maybe they took the business loan on. I mean, we assist clients with getting, we do recommend that you have a line of credit to draw on and everything in case of, business fluctuations or depending on the type of business you have. But some people that come to us are already, like, they're calling us because they're already in trouble, right? Like, the debt is getting stifling and paralyzing. So we're really good at, working with our vendors, working and devising a plan to get caught up or to mitigate. So we had a client last year that, we found an attorney, one of our attorneys that we typically work with that does getting debt written down, right?
Okay.
So I started and we kind of did it together, and we were able to save this client $250,000 by getting write-downs on the debt that they owed.
Wow.
So that they could then we found we have a sister company, which I own as well, that does kind of hard money lending, but it's still far cheaper than credit card lending and those types of things. So we did a workout program with them by the alternative funding, which cut their debt carry by 50%, their interest carry by 50% rather. So they were paying like 25, 28%. And we ended up, I think we gave them a special deal, but we ended up about 12%. So
that's really good.
12% from the fund that I manage, and then that cut their debt down from 28 to 12, so better than 50%. And then now they're on a repayment program. We amended their sales tax filings. We abated penalties. So we're working with them on their whole business, and then worked out with their other vendors a payment plan that we're overseeing so that they would stay on task, which is still within their means. Like the owner didn't, the owner can still take a reasonable salary, although he's not getting profit distributions right now until we can get him to the next level. But I imagine in the next year, so we started this project about a year ago. So I would say by next 2026, he will be back into a full cash flowing business. So it does take time. It's not overnight.
Yeah.
So that's one example. Another one is I have a client, a family office. They are starting businesses constantly. So they've been acquiring, they've done some fresh startups and then some acquisitions and joint ventures. So I'm actively involved in like negotiating or assisting with negotiating agreements with the joint ventures. I'm also like for working with the CEOs of the businesses that they've acquired directly to help them, forecast and like, oh, they want to offer this new service. Well, what is that going to profit? What is that going to cash flow? How much money do we need? Another thing we do is like a kind of we're actually doing it June 24th is we have an annual eeCPA pitch day. So we encourage entrepreneurs from the community, which may or may not be our clients, to come up with a 15-minute pitch, a pitch deck, and then we invite and advertise like in the Phoenix Business Journal to invite a number of investors to watch and review these pitches and see if it's kind of like a Shark Tank style event.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So we really try to do everything with that entrepreneur in mind. We try to work out new, I had a client that we took on, this is back in probably 2008, actually. They've been a long time client, but they were $1,000 in debt. There was no real cash flow. They weren't we came up with a concept. They're a software development company, but very niche. They're an AR collections company, AR collections software for law firms with 100 timekeepers or more. So they had the debt. There was no dividends to the owners. And it was a struggle. So we got in there. Within a year, we were able to wipe out the debt, fully pay it off. And by the following year, the owner received a $500,000 dividend. So
Wow.
how were we able to do that? We were able to take they were selling the software and the training on the software and doing it. They didn't have their billing caught up. So we had to catch up all their billing and revise their contracts, raise price, and then also repackage. So when they were doing training, instead of, billing the client for the training and then the travel and having the client argue like, well, the meals or the travel, or we didn't get that receipt, or, whatever the case is, we just did a package. So here's your travel package. Now it doesn't seem like you're nickel diming them. You're giving them a full on price. So that was very successful. We also were able to assist with recommending changes to the team. They had some overstaffing in some areas, so we were able to cut back on some of that and then help them restaff a few of the people to hire new people to help with development of their next iteration of the software, 2.0 type of thing. So it's just all full on business. But when you do have a close relationship and you have a real time numbers that you're working with, you can brainstorm ideas with the client. So I'm not saying all of these necessarily. I'm saying right now the ideas that I had, but they have ideas too. So you're actually collaborating and brainstorming and coming up with new ideas together. So it feels like it's so satisfying. It's really, I'm so happy. I went to school and I was envisioning being an attorney, and then I got to school and ended up with an accounting degree because I didn't do school well. I am a doer, and I was just wanting to do things. I did not want to sit there, and the thought of 3 more years in law school was daunting.
Yeah.
So and I'm thrilled. I chose what I did. I feel like the CPA is so versatile and you can do so much with it. It's amazing.
Well, if your story and everything that you're telling me is any proof, I think you chose correctly. I think you've done very well for yourself and for your clients as well. And you know what? I agree with the CPA. One of my clients, eeCPA Houston, and one of the things that they just had their conference, they call it STARS. And it is an acronym, bro, right? But that's one of the things that we've discussed is how the CPAs are the stars of the business, right? At the end of the day, they're so versatile and they can do so many different things and they can fit in so many different roles, right? That they're basically handling a lot of the stuff, and like you guys are doing, right? Now you're being the CFO department or the fractional CFO for your clients. So I agree, it's very versatile. One of the things you were saying right now is that your client, the last one that you mentioned, they did all of the things to get out of that. One of them was raising prices, and I think that speaks to the trust that your clients have in you, right? Because a lot of times when you think that people are weary of raising prices. So how did that conversation go? Like, was that something that you told them, hey, we need to raise prices, and they said yes right away? Or how did the conversation go?
No, they didn't. I just had to continuously bring them back to, hey, if, like, say we had raised price and we look at last quarter, instead of a loss, you would have had a profit. And we're not like, we can do incremental raises, but especially in the last, 5 years, wages have skyrocketed. Material costs, and in light of the new Trump tariffs, those will go up exponentially as well. So if you're not staying with the times, you can't be afraid. And even if you lose a few clients because they can't see the value over the price, with the additional income that you're getting, you're going to more than cover the loss, and then you're going to want to seek new ones. It really involves restating what is your value in the marketplace. Like, you have to really think about it and how to communicate it. Because, the utilities, they come out and they're like, oh, now gas prices are up, so we're adding a surcharge. And you kind of have no choice. If Verizon comes out and says, okay, we have a new, telecom surcharge, what, are you going to cancel your Verizon account? No. Is it annoying? Yes. But if you can actually rethink about your value proposition and maybe what you're selling to, so it's kind of a global discussion. It's not just like, okay, let's raise our prices 10%. But in some cases, if it's wholesale retail, yeah, maybe it is an across the board 10% increase, especially if you haven't increased prices. Then, like, making incremental price each year is fair because you have, and then maybe you offer volume discounts, or maybe you offer, or maybe you have certain, your top 20% of your products that drive 80% of your sales. Then maybe you
Yeah.
can repackage those somehow, or raise it a little bit more, but then offer some discounts, or reward your customers that have been customers of yours for 10 years, and also explain. I mean, it really is not challenging that people don't understand that wages have been going up, that materials and supplies have been going up. I mean, that's the real world we live in. And I think if you're missing a huge opportunity if you have not significantly raised price over the last 5 years to accommodate for all of these changes in our economy. So it is like identifying like those top sellers. There's a whole conversation around it. But if to get back to your question, yeah, it wasn't like, oh, okay, Elizabeth. But if you can show them financially, like, here's what happened last quarter, here's what would have happened had we had the price increases in place. And then it leads to a larger discussion about how can we maintain our value in the marketplace. And maybe too, we can make some cuts. Like, this product hasn't sold. Let's do a closeout sale. Let's do a flash sale. Let's get rid of some of that stuff. Or how can we add value to our services? So, for our firm, we have also followed our own advice and raised price over time. But we do try to offer a lot of extra service that they can't get elsewhere, or that they are charged for elsewhere. So things that are cheaper for us to kind of give away. So we'll receive their mail for them. We'll scan it, we'll save it, label it. We'll, different add-on things that no one really does. We don't charge by the phone call or by the minutes. For, a lot of our clients are on subscription. If they are on hourly billing, if the call is less than 15 minutes, we don't charge. If it's 15 minutes or more, we do.
Okay.
But just like we make them subscribe to our tax updates. So our tax return pricing is high, but twice a year we give them a complete, we do a calculation and an update and let them know what you could save money if you do this, that, or the other thing. So those are all inclusive. So they kind of are subscribing to those. We take power of attorney for all of our clients for all tax matters up front. So when there are notices or things that come in, we can deal with them right away without the client stressing out about getting a letter in the mail. And we include all of those and extensive onboarding. We're spending hours onboarding clients, so we have to be really strategic on who we accept as a client, because obviously we're making a huge investment up front.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And is it something where do you guys work with clients nationally, or do you guys work with clients just locally, statewide?
Actually, internationally. So we have clients in the UK and Portugal. I mean, they originate from clients that are here, but I have 3 different unrelated clients that have opened up businesses in Portugal in the last year. Okay. So I actually went to Portugal during tax season while everyone was. And that was way more fun, let me tell you.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we do UK and Portugal. We hire a local accountant there, but we kind of oversee it for our client because we only have one person that's Spanish speaking on our team, and we struggle with the language barrier. And Canada, if we have some clients in Canada, we partner with another CPA firm that takes care of Canada. And then in Mexico, we partner with another CPA firm that takes care of Mexico, but we're still involved. Like, we're not marking it up and charging them, although we have done that in the UK. But we're just partnering with them and interpreting, because obviously if a U.S. citizen or business here has a business in a foreign country, we still have to report that foreign activity to the IRS here. Yeah. So we've built network. I'm in the entrepreneurs organization. So most of these other people from other countries, I've met through that, or just my connections that I built up over time. But it's been pretty, and we work all across the United States as well. So we have several businesses. Our largest client has a lot of travel-based business. So they have a strong presence in Orlando. So I will go out to Orlando once a year or so. Everything is cloud-based now and digital. Yeah. So this is digital right now. It's really not, we don't market, I would say, outside of, but we will get referrals and have clients that are based in Seattle or California or Colorado. But yeah, we don't market outside of the Arizona area, but we do end up with clients from.
Okay, so you only market in Arizona, but you get, okay. And how different has it been, because you basically, just back to the beginning, you basically started knocking on doors, selling, like the Hallmark, the holiday cards, right? You did that. And then you said that you hustled for a year after starting your business, working 70 hours a week. How different is it, your way of getting clients from what you've done before to what you're doing right now?
Well, right now I'm not knocking on doors anymore. I do network. Honestly, I have been so blessed and I'm very thankful that I have just gotten a lot of referral. We do have a website. We
Yeah.
do host events. So that's kind of a networking opportunity. I am in the entrepreneurs organization. I've been in different business organizations as my favorite one. But so I am like actively networking, although that has diminished a lot since COVID. Now it's starting to pick back up again, but we've been so busy. We did do PR, so we did apply for awards, and we won Small Business of the Year award last year at the Phoenix
Congratulations.
Business Journal. So we do stuff like that. I enjoy writing. I wrote a book, so that was published in 2018. And I have also referral partners, so like attorneys that I work with, bankers that I've developed over the last 20 years. So I am top of mind, but I would say definitely the largest has been word of mouth, and also being relevant, in-person events or tickets or whatever we're doing at the time.
I'm glad that you mentioned your book because that was actually going to be my next question. You were saying, so you are a mom. You started your own business, eeCPA. You mentioned that you have another business, the lending money one. I don't know if you have more, but you also wrote a book. So A, how do you find the time? Because that's a lot of full-time jobs right there. And B, what made you write that book?
Well, what made me write the book was another person that wrote Profit First.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that encouraged all business owners to open up about 5 or 6 bank accounts.
Yeah.
And always take all your revenue, take out your profit first, put it in the other account. Keep your payroll separate, keep this separate. And honestly, people, they were so confused. And I love the premise of Profit First. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. You have to begin with the end in mind. And I am ideologically in alignment. But the actual practice of doing this for a small business is a nightmare.
Yeah.
They bounce things, there's overdrawn, they don't know, it gets wacky within 30 days. So I was like, well, I want to write a book that is a different approach to how to streamline your accounting. And why? Because also I get pushback from clients. Well, that's just accounting. Sales is sexy. Marketing is sexy. PR is sexy.
I agree. Yes.
Not sexy. Although one of my clients one time bought me the domain sexy CPA. I haven't had the wherewithal to actually deploy anything on that, but
I love that. Well, I mean, it's not sexy until you save somebody $250,000,
yeah,
like you said earlier. So
yes,
yeah.
So it's critical that you have the right numbers to start with, because you can't strategize if you're working with the wrong data.
Yeah.
So that's what my impetus was to write that book. And how I find the time, I don't know how I've done it. I'm blessed with a lot of energy that I've always had. So I just get really excited too about new things. And I have a wonderful team. So this team here, if I was gone for a month, my business wouldn't be, I have some key clients that I still manage. They'd be pretty upset, but the team would be managing everything else. I actually stepped out of the whole tax world this year and doing anything with the tax. And I let my brand new partners, which they just earned, we changed our firm and made it so that anyone who's been here at least 2 calendar years has a CPA license, or has been here 10 years with no CPA license, will be granted units in our profit sharing in our partnership. So I've designated 40% of the firm for those people to earn their way to partnership in the firm. So
That's
these
amazing.
are new partners. I mean, one, Mike, has been a partner of mine since 2022. I actually gifted him 5% of the firm because he was so good and he manages all the tax. And I was like, I woke up one morning thinking I can't even do this without him, and I was like, so he started it, and then we just in 2025 we added 2 more. But the having a good team in place is critical to being able to do these other things. Because I did acquire another business last year, March of 2024, which is window coverings, e-commerce. Modern Shade Express is the name of it. So if any of the listeners want new shades,
I'll include the links.
I did all the projections and everything. Believe me, this has been a life-changing experience for me. My whole career has been B2B, with the exception of my 8-year-old Christmas card sales. It's been B2B relationship based. This is right now the business that I acquired is B2C e-commerce based. So I am learning about digital marketing firsthand after I just blew it out of the water and lost $1 million on that business last year.
Oh,
So
wow.
sometimes you have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
All plans do not always come to fruition, but I'm committed to that and I will make it successful if it's the death of me. I've learned a lot the hard way, which is, I guess, how I've always learned things. But I do have an amazing team here and I appreciate them tremendously, or I wouldn't be able to do these other things.
I love that. Thank you for that. I think your way of looking at things, especially that part of gifting, the 5% of the person that you couldn't do the tax without, right? And also, but just having that vision and having that thought of, hey, I'm gonna put 40% so that people in the company can become partners. I think that's amazing. I think that's a great, and kudos to you for that. I think it's a great way of looking at things, especially long term. And we're coming to a little bit of the end of the episode, so I do have a few more questions that I'd like to ask you. So what is next, for eeCPA? Like, what are your growth plans, for the next 1-2 years down the road?
Well, we're adding people, and we are adding business too. So I imagine, our growth plan by the end of 2027 is to double our revenue size. So
Wow.
we're shooting for the moon here. We'll see how
Yeah.
that goes. And so we'll continue to grow our team and our client base. But as I said, strategically. So we're really focused now. We were doing that boot camp day 2 of 3 yesterday. We're really focused. Our best client fit is probably businesses that are doing about 5 million or more in top line revenue, and working with them to partner with them on the same concept, but at least our core services, the tax, the payroll, the accounting, so that we can be consulting with them and helping them grow. That's the most rewarding part, is when we take on something and it's either a mess or they're in a tough spot, or even if they're in a good spot, but helping them facilitate with fresh ideas, with smart people. You can exponentially grow and see, and what a difference it makes to their life and how they, are able to change their life, because they're often, they don't need to be CPAs to be working 70 hours a week, or,
Yeah.
they're maybe getting to the, 60s, 70-year-olds, some of them, some are, obviously 20s, 30s. So it's a different conversation, but just being able to help them meet the goals that they have, and even identify sometimes what those are and how we could help. And that to me is the best part of accounting, or of this, what we got going on here.
Okay. I love that. And what does, success mean to you personally?
Well, personally, I've been very blessed again. I'm thankful that I just have had I've had a lot of luck here. A lot of luck.
Yeah.
I put in a lot of work, and so I feel like some of it is reward for, for well spent. Looking forward, as I can't ever imagine retiring, because really, I still get excited. I got up at 4:30 this morning. I'm excited to get rolling, to do things.
Wow.
There's something wrong with that problem. I would like to travel more. As I said, my youngest is going to college. I may have grandchildren in the not so distant future. So having, time for family is really important to me too. And time for travel, a little bit more of breaks, maybe. I'm getting out of the Phoenix summer heat. But yeah, really just continuing on and supporting my team and helping drive us to the next level.
And I understand about the heat. I lived in Tucson. My dad lived in Scottsdale. What advice would you give to someone that's just starting their entrepreneurial journey or thinking about starting?
Yeah, I would say the business plan is great, but don't overkill it. Don't spend too much time on it, because it's never going to pan out. You can't plan it out. Think about how much you're willing to invest and spend. In the early years, I only started the firm. I think I invested $10,000 to start.
Okay.
But my first year, I made all in, that's 7,000 for the year. My second year, 16. My third year, 32.
Okay.
So that was it. That was all compensation that I could derive, all profit from the business, in which I couldn't take out. So I had to have a runway. I'm not saying that everything, that was earlier, 2004 or 5 and 6, and I was brand new starting out. And I wasn't focused on what I spent so much as, and the omission of the comp, but I was focused on what I was driving, the value. So I've always been a big investor. I'm not always, even though I advise clients and everything, and we talk about EBITDA and profit is not sole focus, like getting that next dollar in my own pocket. I'm always thinking about, okay, how can I invest in this? What will this yield to me? And
Okay.
honestly, I think that's probably the biggest thing is you can't think you're going to make it doesn't come instantly. Even the tech companies that are fabulously successful right now started usually in the garage and you
Yeah.
were toiling for hours with no income until you hit it, you know? So thinking that you can just transition and make your comp, you can, but then you might be sacrificing the future growth and potential for your business. So I think reinvesting and building is really helpful. Yeah, and just the willingness to constantly change up your games, you know, that held me back too, because I'd wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. But then if you're a customer focused business, service business, you know, 4 million things pop up and you don't get that done. So you kind of have to be really flexible.
Yeah.
It's got to be flexible and you got to have some savings. So you don't need this money to fund your meal this week, and just keep persisting. Fail, learn from your failure, and get back up real quick.
I love that. That's so true. I mean, I think that a lot of us are just afraid of trying something because we're afraid to fail. But failure is part of the journey, right? And failure is part of learning. Elizabeth, thank you. This has been amazing. I love so
Thank
much
you.
the conversation that we've had, your journey, everything that you shared with us. I appreciate your time and your openness. And to everyone listening, you know, if you like this episode, please, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and share as well. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Lead Skill Show.